So we hear about PLCs as something that, that people are trying to support. And I think part of the goal of the PLC is to create more options for somebody who needs help to find that help, right? Like it's to create a conversation environment where there's not just one instructional coach, but if the coach is not available, there's maybe somebody else you can turn to. Do you see that taking off? Do you see that being successful? Is there evidence that this is something that could work?
Well, there's lots of evidence to say, collective efficacy, as John Hattie describes it, is really, really important in terms of moving things forward. But for me, for people to really make significant change, they have to really care about the goal. People aren't going to do something unless they care about it. I have to care about the goal for me to put all that effort into it. So if a group comes together to set a goal, it's harder than when you do it individually. But again, video could be helpful if they all reflect on their video and they come together and someone facilitates the process. I think it could be a good idea, but people aren't going to hit a goal that they don't care about.
But isn't the goal, like for everyone in school, the goal is still around the kids, right? Like it's still around the kid education, and so setting that as a goal rather than, for example, we all as a group have to do better. Could be a solution, could be an answer.
Well, the goals are usually one of three things. They're behavioral goals, like so many kids were engaged and I want to get it to this. And then of course there's many different ways you could measure and describe engagement. So that's a behavioral goal. There's an achievement goal. Kids can't write a paragraph, they can write a paragraph. And then there's attitudinal goals. I like coming to school. I feel safe talking in this classroom. I have hope. All those kinds of things can become goals. And in the Impact Cycle book, I have a lot of tools on how to set those goals, how to measure those goals. But that's the thing I'd say is that, it's got to be a student-focused goal, but it's usually in one of those categories. It's going to be achievement, behavior, or attitude. So for me, if we say, the other thing it has to be something I can measure frequently. So if we say I want my reading scores to go up by 15%, that's kind of innocuous. I don't know what that means. And I don't know how I'm going to measure it. So I really need to be able to say, here's how I'm measuring it weekly, and I really care about the goal. Then we've got a chance.
And the goal could be evolving, right? Like it doesn't have to be the same goal every week. You can set a goal, measure it at the end of the week or whatever, the time period, and then set a different goal and focus on that one. Right. Between the three categories that each one could be a focus of a different time period.
Yeah, often you get going and you realize the way we're measuring this goal needs to be tightened up a bit, or this isn't really the goal, it needs to be something else. You can make adjustments. You're always making adjustments in the coaching process.
In the coaching process, I'm curious, like if you set the goal, you kind of go through the process, and then you kind of to evaluate whether the goal was met and the goal was not met. I saw in the video you actually ask a person, do you want to keep working on that goal, or do you want to set a different goal? Why that? Like, what was your insight into giving them an option to focus on something else versus saying, let's keep working on this goal?
Well, there's a couple things. We want to be working on the right goal. We want to work where we can have the biggest impact the fastest. And sometimes, what we're doing in coaching is we're learning. And sometimes we learn, I thought it was that we need to give the kids a chance to talk, but really we need to get some things in place for behavior first. So have an environment where talking can flourish. If we don't deal with the behavior, we'll never have that productive student talk,
The changing course might be the right action at the right time.
The second thing is that I always position the teacher as the decision maker. So I always want to say to the teacher, now what do you think about this? And sometimes I have to scaffold that by saying, here are some options, what do you think of these options? But I always, even if the teacher says to me, just tell me what to do and I'll do it, I'm going to say to the teacher, well, let me give you a couple things and you tell me which one you think sounds right. I always want them to be making the decisions, because if they don't make the decisions, they don't own it.